Hi everyone, I'm going to continue the series of the fantastic Daf Yomi here on this incredible Tuesday afternoon live here in Israel. Today we are on Masechet Gittin, page number 73. Naturally, in Hebrew, that is Ayin Gimel. So friends, we've got a business transactions taking place in today's Gemara. Very, very interesting. So guys, businessmen out there, get your hats on and at the end maybe drop me a comment what you think. So friends, today I'm going to teach you a term of the word called honest, which is a Hebrew word for a case when a person is not responsible for an occurrence that is beyond that specific person's control. To give the full phrase we're discussing about over here, it's unforseeable shachiach. That's a phrase that we'll use here. And as a preface, the Gemara was naturally written in Iraq. So we're talking about Babylon. Babylon was an area where there was very little rainfall at the time. And what did they rely on when it came to waters? They had to rely on water coming from large rivers flowing into the country. In those days, just like nowadays, there's projects in order to gain water access throughout different countries. They used irrigation canals in those days also. We're talking about even a few thousand years ago over here. So friends, we've got two business transaction cases in today's Talmud, and we know that a person that takes responsibility for something when they're making a transaction, and something like the chance of astronomical happening beyond the seller's control after the purchase is made, we're going to see that he might not necessarily be responsible for it. We don't have to retract the transaction. So friends, what's going on? We've got two cases in the Talmud today. So the first case is where a person is going to sell his field, and he sells it, and the buyer buys it naturally, and he actually takes responsibility that if something beyond something happens, he will take responsibility, potentially have to compensate. That's the initial thing. And after the sale is made, the purchaser buys a thing, sale made, sale done and dusted. All of a sudden, the government actually come and they want to dig a canal going through this field, which the person sold, something that was unforeseeable initially. So the Ravina is going to actually say, the first opinion, the seller must retract the sale. He's taken responsibility. It's null and void. However, it's going to be that Rava is going to say, is going to argue very strongly back and stipulate and object to this. Since it was so unlikely that the government would do this, why should the seller get punished over here? The sale should stand. Now there's a second case learned inside the Talmud in today's Daf over here, where there is an agreement there was between two rabbis, Rav Papa and Rav Huna Brei the Rav Yoshua. Those two are gonna do an agreement with a group of sailors who agreed to transport merchandise across a canal. In those days, I'd assume it was around Iraq territory, a canal called the Nahar Malka. This was what they were gonna. A lot of merchandise was going to be transported through this canal with the sailors. So they made an initial agreement. However, what happened was the canal actually ends up damming up over here, and they can't transport the merchandise. So in those days, if it's a lot of merchandise, this could result in a hefty loss, or everything else. It's a loss of business potentially. So the sailors, they initially took responsibility, and it was suggested by there was actually a suggestion that they would have to instead, because it's dammed up, they would have to hire donkeys and then transport the merchandise via that method. However, it looked like they might agree to this. However, Rava would once again step in, just like he did in the first case, and say, no, this once again, the chance of this happening was astronomical. Why should the sellers be penalized here? And it's on the onus, the burden is on the buyers who did this. They are going to have to somehow, cough up for this spot, because the seller, it was beyond their control. That's what we're learning in today's Daf. Two very interesting business cases. Look into it, learn it, and have a fantastic day, and have a meaningful fast for tomorrow.